Hey guys, tonight we are diving about the life of a Victorian servant. What will happen when you awakes? Then you are a servant of a Victorian family. So this is not your room, not even close. You open your eyes and for a moment, your brain refuses to load. It's like your mind is still buffering, spinning in circles like an old loading icon. Instead of your soft pillow and your familiar ceiling, you're staring at wooden beams. Really old wooden beams, the kind that creak even when you breathe near them. You blink a few times thinking maybe you're dreaming, but nope, everything feels way too real. The mattress under you is lumpy, scratchy, and honestly kind of rude. It feels like someone stuffed it with straw and then said, good enough. And the air, wow, it's cold. Like, why is my soul shivering? Cold. There's this faint smell of coal, damp wood, and a little bit of someone boiled cabbage in here last week. Not terrible, but definitely not a scent you'd buy as a candle. You slowly push yourself up on your elbows. The room is tiny, more like an attic that someone converted into a bedroom as a joke. The ceiling slopes so low you feel like you'll hit your head just from thinking too loudly. There's one tiny window on the far side, letting in this pale, grayish morning light, like the sun didn't feel like trying today. And then you hear it, distant bells ringing, soft at first, but repeating over and over, echoing through the building like they're calling someone. Maybe that someone is you. You don't know where you are, but one thing is clear. This is not 2025. This is not your bed. This is not your world. Before you can panic properly, you hear fast footsteps coming up the narrow steps outside your door. The door swings open and a young girl, probably around your age or maybe a little older, rushes inside like her life depends on it. She's wearing this simple dress with an apron tied in a messy knot. Her hair is pinned back, but a few pieces have escaped like they're tired of behaving. Her cheeks are all red from rushing. She gasps when she sees you still lying there. Oh, for heaven's sake, wake up, she says, shaking your shoulder like you owe her money. Come on, we're already late. The housekeeper will skin us alive as she finds you still in bed. You stare at her completely lost. What is all that comes out? Your voice sounds sleepy and confused, like you just woke up from a nap inside a history textbook. She frowns at you. What do you mean, what? She points at you like she's checking if you're okay.
Did you hit your head?
Put your shoes on. Breakfast prep starts in 5 minutes. You finally look down at yourself. And wow, that is not your t-shirt. That is not your pajama pants. Instead, you're wearing rough, simple clothes, plain shirt, worn out wool vest, and trousers that look like they've been washed with rocks. The fabric feels stiff, a little itchy, and very old-fashioned. The kind of thing you see in those period dramas your mom watches, but you never admit you kind of enjoy. Your brain finally whispers, this looks like Victorian clothes. But that makes no sense. You didn't time travel, right? Like, that's not even possible Probably. The girl grabs your hand, and pulls you up with surprising strength for someone so small. Move, she says. The mistress wants hot tea ready before she comes down, and you know how she gets. You definitely do not know how the mistress gets, but you decide this is not the moment to argue. Your body still feels half asleep as you stumble after her, nearly tripping over the wooden floorboards. She leads you down a narrow, crooked staircase that looks like it hasn't been repaired since dinosaurs ruled the earth. Everything creaks, the steps, the walls, probably your joints too. Where are we? You ask quietly. She gives you a weird look. Where? At Rosewood House, of course. Honestly, did you stay up too late again? You nod slowly because saying yes is easier than saying, I have absolutely no idea what's happening, and I think I just fell out of my own century. As you reach the bottom of the stairs, the world opens up into a busy little hallway. You hear voices, footsteps, someone coughing, someone else clattering dishes. A warm glow spills out from a room ahead, probably the kitchen. It feels like you've walked into a whole different universe where everyone woke up earlier than you and is already stressed about life. The girl pushes open a heavy wooden door, and you're hit with a wave of heat and noise. The kitchen is alive, literally buzzing with activity. Pots clang, steam rises from huge copper pans. Someone is chopping vegetables fast enough to start a fire. Another servant rushes past carrying a stack of plates taller than their hopes and dreams. Your brain is spinning. All right? The girl says, grabbing an apron and tossing it at you. Put that on and start with the fire in the East Room. They want it warm before the family wakes. You catch the apron, kinda. It lands halfway on your face. Great start. As you adjust it, you try to take everything in. This is Victorian England. It has to be. The clothes, the candles, the coal smell, the whole vibe. You don't know how you got here or how you're supposed to get back. But right now, you do know one thing. Nobody here knows you're well, not from here. And until you figure things out, the best plan is simply don't get fired or yelled at or accidentally invent electricity and cause a paradox. You tie the apron around your waist and grab a small basket of coal because everyone else seems to be doing their jobs without questioning reality, so you might as well blend in. The girl, still fussing with her apron, gives you a quick smile. Try not to trip this time, all right? You manage a tiny nod. Yeah, I'll try. As you walk toward the hallway, carrying that heavy coal basket like it weighs your entire destiny, your mind keeps repeating one thought over and over. This is real. This is happening. And somehow you woke up in the Victorian era as a servant and your day is just getting started. You're still not over the whole. Oops, I woke up in the Victorian era thing, but there's no time to freak out. The kitchen behind you is already in full panic mode, like a cooking show where everyone is losing. Someone just yelled, "Where's the butter?" Like the fate of the universe depends on it. Honestly, maybe it does. The young maid from earlier hurries past you again. Stop standing there like a statue. Come on, you need to see the quarters before the housekeeper checks attendance. You follow her through a narrow hallway lit by small oil lamps. The walls are made of rough stone, cold and slightly damp, like the building is sighing every few seconds. You brush your hand along the wall and instantly pull away. Yep, definitely damp. Feels like the wall cried on your fingers. The maid glances back at you. You're moving slow today. Did you sleep badly? Yeah. Let's say that she sighs. We all do. You get used to it. You're not sure you will. She stops at a door and pushes it open. Here. Servants' quarters. She steps inside like she's giving you a tour of some fancy place. Spoiler, it's not fancy. Not even close. The room opens up into a long, low-ceilinged space filled with small beds, trunks, and clotheslines hanging overhead. The clotheslines are not for decoration. Socks, aprons, and shirts are dangling everywhere like little ghosts. The floorboards squeak under your feet. It's warm, though. Probably from all the bodies that sleep here, plus the nearby kitchen. A few servants are already up, rubbing their eyes, brushing their hair, tying aprons, fighting with buttons. One girl is half asleep trying to braid her hair, but keeps missing strands like she's playing some kind of losing game. A tall boy with neat hair and a too serious face nods at you. Morning. He looks like he's been awake for 3 hours already. You nod back, trying to look normal. Spoiler, you probably don't. The maid gestures around the room like she's giving a lecture. So these are the sleeping quarters. So these are boys on the left side, girls on the right. House rules. No noise after midnight. No loud talking in the mornings. No using candles without permission. And don't leave boots near the doorway. The housekeeper trips on everything. You glance at the chaotic pile of boots at the entrance. So these are not in the right place. She groans. No. They never are. A small, round-faced girl walks past holding 2 buckets of water, wobbling side to side like a penguin. She smiles at you, but clearly doesn't have enough energy to smile fully. New day? She says weakly. New day? The maid replies, you're still standing there, holding nothing, doing nothing, being extremely unhelpful, but nobody seems to notice. They're all too busy fighting the daily battle of getting ready before the housekeeper appears like a ghost. The maid opens a small chest near your bed, apparently your bed, showing a few old shirts, an apron, a pair of socks that have seen better centuries, and a cloth cap. That's yours. She says, you stare at the items like they're alien objects. She gives you a look. Put the cap on. The lady of the house doesn't like to see loose hair or messy heads. You put it on. It immediately makes you look 80% more Victorian and 40% more confused. The maid nods. Well, that's better. A stern voice suddenly echoes down the hallway. Servants! Gather. Everyone freezes for half a second like rabbits spotting a wolf. Then chaos. People run, pull on clothes, shove boots under beds. throw aprons over their heads. You have no idea what's happening, but you follow the maid because she seems like your designated survival guide. You end up in a narrow corridor where the housekeeper stands like the final boss in a video game. She's tall, sharp-eyed, and wearing a black dress with a bunch of keys hanging in it at her waist. Mm-hmm. She looks like she can end your entire career with one glare. Good morning. She announces, no one dares speak. She looks over everyone like she's scanning for trouble. We'll begin with morning duties. Fires must be lit in the drawing room, study, and dining room. Floors scrubbed, silver polished. Breakfast prepared. The master will be down at 8 sharp. Any delays will not be tolerated. Her eyes sweep over you and pause for a half second. Oh no, she's looking straight into your soul. You, she says. Your heart drops through the floor. Yes. You manage. You are, with the other hall's servants today. You will assist with fires, coats, and general tasks. Do not wander, do not speak unless spoken to, and do not break anything. Understood? You nod so fast your cap almost falls off. Good. She moves on. The maid nudges you. See, easy, easy. Sure. In the same way a tornado is a little breeze. Dot. Once the housekeeper leaves, the tension melts a bit. Servants exhale, stretch, and begin scattering to their assignments. Your maid friend points to a doorway. Before you start, you should see the rest of the servants' area, knowing it helps you survive. You follow her inside. This part of the quarters is a maze, narrow corridors, tiny storage rooms, and little corners filled with tools, buckets, and folded linens. Everything feels worn down but functional, like the house runs on pure determination and tired people. She points to different rooms. That's the scullery. Smallest job, worst job. You peek in. Someone is already washing pots bigger than their hopes. That's the pantry. Stay out of it unless you're told. A cook walks out carrying onions and glaring like she's been awake since 1400. That room is for ironing. It's too hot, so avoid it unless you want to melt. Another corner is filled with brooms, brushes, and dusters. Looks like a cleaning weapon arsenal. And up there, she points to a short staircase, is the butler's room. Don't go there. He likes quiet. If you make noise, you'll know. You swallow hard. This place has rules everywhere. Finally, she leads you into a narrow dining area where the servants eat. A long wooden table sits in the middle, scarred with knife marks and dents. Benches line the sides. A kettle sits on a small stove, bubbling gently. This is where we eat, she says. Not much talking in the mornings, but dinner gets lively. You look around at all of it, the tight halls, the small rooms, the people rushing everywhere, and it hits you. You are officially part of this world now, at least for today. Everything feels intense, old, crowded, fast, and strangely alive. You're scared, tired, confused, and a tiny bit excited. Maid claps her hands. All right, enough tour. We need to get you started. Started on what? You ask. She grins like she's about to prank you. Lighting fires. Of course. Because your day wasn't chaotic enough already, She hands you a small metal bucket with coal and a box of matches. Come on, she says. If we don't warm the rooms before the family wakes, the housekeeper will turn us into ghosts. You take a deep breath and follow her toward the main hall. Your second morning in the Victorian era has officially begun, and you're already late. The morning rush in a Victorian house is like someone pressed the chaos button and everyone just accepted it as normal life. You're following the maid, your unofficial tour guide slash babysitter, through the servant hall with your little coal bucket. You feel like a confused intern on the first day of work, except your workplace is 150 years old and nobody believes in weekends. First fire goes in the east sitting room, the maid says. It's always freezing in there. Freezing is an understatement. When she pushes open the door, a wave of cold air hits your face like the room wants to slap you awake. You swear you can see your breath. The furniture is covered in shadows, everything looking fancy, but miserable. Go on, she says, nodding at the empty fireplace. You kneel, trying to look confident, even though the last time you lit anything was probably a birthday candle. You stack the coal and wood like she showed you earlier, feeling like you're arranging a tiny house for squirrels. Then you pull out the matchbox. In your head, this should be simple. Strike, light, done. You strike the match, it snaps in half, dies instantly. Wow, the maid says. Strong start. You try again. This time the match lights, but your hand is shaking like you're doing something illegal. You hold it near the wood, and after a second of struggle, the flame catches. Oh, you say, honestly proud. It worked. Relax, she says. It's just fire. Just fire. Fire is literally dangerous, illegal, without adult supervision energy. But the fire crackles gently, warming the room a little. You stare at it like you just performed a magic trick. Good, she says. 1 room done. 9 to go. Your soul leaves your body a little. She's already walking out. You grab your bucket and rush after her. Back in the hall, servants are sprinting left and right. Someone runs past carrying a stack of folded linens taller than they are. Another servant is polishing a silver tray like they're trying to see the meaning of life in it. In the kitchen doorway, you spot the cook yelling at 2 scullery maids. No, 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 she shouts, pointing at a pan. That's burnt, burnt. I can smell disaster, and it's this pan. The scullery maids look like they're experiencing spiritual pain. The maid nudges you. Don't go near her before breakfast. She's temperamental. Temperament. What? She throws spoons. Ah, got it. You move to the next room, the master's study. This one is huge, lined with shelves filled with books that look older than the country you came from. There's a giant desk stacked with papers, ink bottles, and a globe that's missing half a continent. The whispers, be careful. He hates ash on the carpet. You look down. The carpet looks expensive, like if you drop 1 piece of coal. Life is over. Expensive. You kneel again. This time your match lights perfectly, like it's finally working with you instead of against you. The fire starts slowly, glowing like a tiny sun. You smile to yourself. Okay, maybe you're not a total disaster in the Victorian era. As you step out, a tall footman passes by carrying a tray of polished cups. He eyes you. New here. You freeze. Oh, kinda. He shrugs. Don't get fired. The last new one lasted 2 days. No pressure at all. You keep moving. Next room, the dining room. This one looks like someone took a palace and shrunk it. The long table is set even though nobody has arrived yet. Silverware shines so bright you can almost see your reflection, calling for help. The chandelier above looks like it costs more than everything you own in your real life. You kneel again, starting the fire for the 3rd time. Your knees are already filing complaints. You finish, stand up, dust off your apron, and oh, there you are. A voice says behind you. You turn and see the housekeeper. Oh no, boss battle. She steps closer, eyes sharp as ever. You're assigned to the hall, not the dining room. Why are you here? Your brain scrambles. There was fire and coal, and I fire. Great sentence. Very clear. The housekeeper stares like she's trying to decide whether to scold you or send you to another dimension. The maid rushes in. I asked them to help. The others were busy. You want to hug her for saving your life. The housekeeper sighs. Fine, hurry up. The master wakes soon. She leaves. You exhale like you were underwater. The maid bumps your shoulder lightly. Relax. She's strict, not evil. Strict is scary. You whisper, yeah. But you get used to it. You doubt that. But sure, she leads you into the main entrance hall. This is the central place for your morning job. Coats, boots, umbrellas, fires, all stuff that makes 0 sense to do before 7 a.m. But here you are. The hall is tall and grand, with portraits staring down at you like they're judging your existence. The air is cold, and your breath fogs a little as you walk. Put coal in that fireplace, she says, then check the boots. Check them for what? She smirks. Shininess? Victorian people were sarai use about shiny boots. Apparently the family wants their reflection clear enough to fix their hair in it. You kneel again and start the fire. You're getting faster at it, like a small, tired, poorly paid fire wizard. Once the flames are steady, you move to the rows of boots lined perfectly along the wall. Some are clean. Some look like someone wrestled a mud monster yesterday. Take the brush, she says, handing you one, and polish until the leather looks new. So you do. Brush up, brush down, rub, polish, buff. It takes longer than expected. You start sweating. 1 boot sparkles. Another 2. Not bad. By the time you're done with the 10th pair, a bell rings upstairs. The maid jumps. They're waking. She grabs your arm and pulls you aside so fast you almost fall. Rule number 1, never be in the hallway when they come down. We're shadows. We vanish. And just like that, all the servants in the hall press themselves against walls, corners, and tiny invisible pockets of space. You mimic them, trying to blend into the wallpaper. The stairs creak. Footsteps descend. Soft voices float down. You see the master first, tall, serious, mustache so perfect, it probably has its own routine. Behind him, the mistress walks like she's floating, wearing a morning gown that definitely costs a fortune. You're almost scared to breathe. They walk past like royalty in a parade. They don't look at you. They don't look at anyone. It's like the servants don't exist. And weirdly, that's exactly the rule. The maid whispers so quietly you barely hear it. Welcome to mornings here. This is the rush. It'll be like this every day. You swallow hard because this is only the beginning. Morning in a Victorian house hits different. No alarms, no phone buzzing, just the soft sound of footsteps and the smell of warm bread drifting through the hallway. You wake up slowly, still half confused that you're living in 1860, but hey, at least the mornings are kind of peaceful. You pull on your dress and head downstairs. Breakfast in a Victorian family isn't just grab a plate and eat. Nope. It's a full-on event. When you walk into the dining room, everyone is already in their seats. Your aunt sits at the head of the table, perfect posture, giving that good morning, but don't mess up look. The table is packed with food and eggs, porridge, jam, fresh bread, and tea so strong it could wake the dead. You try to sit quietly, but even the chair creaks like it's exposing you. Aunt Eleanor clears her throat, very dramatic, and says, "Well, dear, I hope you slept well. Today will be busy." Which basically means she already has plans for you. Victorian women don't just sit around. There are chores, visits, maybe sewing lessons, and always some strict rule you absolutely did not ask for. As you start eating, you notice something. The mood at the table feels a bit tense. Your cousin Edward keeps glancing at the newspaper. Your uncle looks worried. Even the maid moving around the table seems extra quiet. Finally, Edward folds the paper and says, there were strange noises reported again near the Whitmore estate. Oh, great. More mystery. You almost choke on your tea. Your aunt tries to brush it off like it's just gossip, but her eyes give away the truth. She knows something. Everyone does, but no one wants to talk about it openly. Typical Victorian secret energy as you butter your bread. You can feel the weight of their silence. This family is hiding something, or they're scared of something happening in town. Then your aunt turns to you. You'll be accompanying me today, she says. We have a visit to make. A visit? Where? Why? She doesn't explain, and you know better than to ask too many questions at the table. Breakfast continues in awkward quiet. Spoons clinking, tea pouring, tension sitting right next to the jam bowl. You're trying to blend in, act normal, look proper. But your mind is racing. You didn't just wake up in the Victorian era. You woke up in the middle of something. And this family breakfast, simple as it looks, felt like the calm before a storm. When everyone finishes, the servants start clearing the table. Your aunt rises from her chair and gives you a small nod. Get ready, she says. We leave within the hour. You swallow hard. Whatever today brings, it's definitely not going to be a normal Victorian day. If you thought waking up in the Victorian era was the hard part, oh, buddy, you haven't met the rules yet. After the morning chaos calms down a bit, Mrs. Wetlock, the housekeeper, A.K. A. The general of the servant army calls you over. She stands with her hands clasped, chin lifted, like she's about to read out the laws of the universe. Since you're new, she says, you must learn how things work here. You nod politely. Inside, you're like, ma'am, I'm literally from the future. I don't even know how half these outfits work. But she continues, Rule 1, you speak only when spoken to. This one hits fast. Mrs. Wetlock says it in the most calm voice ever. You do not interrupt the family. You wait quietly. You suddenly remember all the times you've interrupted people mid-sentence in your normal life. Yeah, that habit. Gone. Vaporized. Deleted from your personality. You imagine yourself raising your hand like you're in school just to ask for water. Rule 2, never turn. You're back on the family. This one feels straight out of a royal manual. Apparently, turning your back on your employers is impolite. So you must step away sideways or backwards like some kind of shy crab. You picture yourself crab walking out of every room for the rest of your Victorian life, not the vibe you expected in 1860. Rule 3, move quietly. No stomping. No rushing. No, oops, I dropped something noises. Basically, you must tiptoe like a cartoon thief all day. The irony? Victorian houses squeak louder than a horror movie sound effect. You could walk as gently as a feather, and the floorboards still scream like Hiwaibaron, T-R-E-W-A-R-E-V, Movi and G, Rule 40. Stay invisible, but also be everywhere. This one makes your brain do a little backflip, Mrs. Wetlock explains. You must not be noticed, but you must always be available. Sue, be a ghost, but also a ninja. Got it. Totally makes sense. Rule 50, meals are for the family first. In your time, people grab food when they're hungry. Here, nope. Servants serve the food, stand and wait, and maybe eat scraps later when everything's cleared. You suddenly feel grateful for every random snack you've ever eaten at 2 a.m. Rule 6EU, follow the bell. This one is wild. There's an actual bell system in the house. When a family member needs something, they pull a cord in their room, and a bell rings in the servants' area. Each bell has a different sound, meaning you have to know which bell belongs to which room by ear. You imagine someone yelling at you. That was the library bell, not the sitting room bell. And you're just standing there like, Mom, they both sounded like angry metal birds. Rule 7, why no gossip. This rule sounds simple, but this is a Victorian house. There are secrets everywhere. And hearing them is basically unavoidable. Even if you hear personal business, Mrs. Whitlock says sternly, you forget it. Sure. Totally, you're definitely not going to remember the weird box you saw upstairs or the whispers at breakfast. Not at all. Rule 80, clothing must be perfect. Serving clothes must be clean, neat, and pinned correctly. Your modern you is screaming, I don't even iron my t-shirts. But here, A wrinkled apron is practically a crime. Mrs. Whitlock even adjusts your collar for you, and you swear she has X-ray vision for crooked seams. Rule 19, early to rise, late to bed. Servants get up before the sun and rest after the family sleeps. You ask, when do I get my free time? Spoilered, you don't. Your free time is basically 30 seconds while walking up the stairs. Rule 10 day, respect the hierarchy. There are levels among the servants, lay housekeeper, butler, a cook, ladies, maids, footmen, the kitchen maids, a scullery maids, and now you're at the bottom of the ladder, like under the ladder, possibly the floorboard holding the ladder. Everyone above you is your boss in some way. After going through the whole list, Mrs. Whitlock gives you a small nod like she's proud you survived the lecture. Then she says the most Victorian sentence ever. If you follow these rules, you'll do well here. You smile politely, but inside your brain is doing math like wake early, work all day, no snacks, no talking, no mistakes, and crab walk everywhere. Totally fine, totally manageable, totally not panic inducing at all. As you head back toward the hall, you catch a glimpse of the brass bell system on the wall. Tiny labels, tiny wires, tiny bells waiting to scream. And for a second, it hits you. You're not just living in the Victorian era now. You're living Victorian servant mode, full time. The rules are strict. The work is constant. The expectations are sky high. But weirdly, you feel ready, or at least ready enough. You take a deep breath, straighten your apron, and step into the corridor. Whatever comes next, you'll face it. Even if you have to crab, walk to survive. You always hear people talk about the Victorian era like it was all grand houses, fancy dresses, and candlelit dinners. And yeah, that world exists, but not for you. Not today. Today, you get to see both sides. The shiny upstairs world and the hard downstairs world. And honestly, it feels like two different planets inside one house. It all starts right after you finish scrubbing floors. Your back is aching a little and you're just trying to breathe without inhaling more dust than oxygen. Then Mrs. Whitlock, the housekeeper, appears in the hallway. You, she calls gently. Come with me. The mistress wants something fetched from the sitting room. You nod and follow her, wiping your hands on your apron like that's going to magically make you look less exhausted. As you walk, she gives you a quick reminder, quiet voice, careful steps, and remember, eyes down, right. The official Victorian servant starter pack. The climb to the upper world. The moment you step onto the staircase that leads upstairs, everything changes. Downstairs feels like one big machine, clanking pots, echoing footsteps, the crackle of fires. Upstairs feels calm, soft, quiet, like someone pressed the mute button on the whole house. The carpet under your shoes is thick and cushy, a total upgrade from the hard wooden boards in the servant hall. Even the walls are different, painted, clean, decorated with portraits of people who probably never did a day of chores in their lives. Walking here feels like sneaking into a museum wearing muddy shoes. The air smells faintly of perfume instead of coal. The silence is heavy but peaceful. Everything looks polished, perfect, untouched. It's wild how one staircase can split life into two halves. Mrs. Wetlock gives you a nod and disappears back down the stairs, leaving you alone in this fancy world. The sitting room, you step into the sitting room and pause for a second because, wow. Soft velvet chairs, golden framed paintings, lace curtains catching the morning sun, a giant rug with a pattern so detailed it looks like someone embroidered it with magic. You walk carefully, almost scared to breathe too loud. The lady of the house, Mrs. Harrowfield, is seated on a couch with her embroidery hoop. Her posture is perfect, like she's been practicing fancy sitting her whole life. She doesn't look up when she speaks. Please bring me the blue shawl from the cabinet. Her voice is soft, polite, but layered with the quiet expectation that you won't mess this up. You nod and fetch the shawl, placing it next to her with both hands. You step back, remembering the turning, your back rule. So yes, you do the awkward little backward walk again. You're basically a Victorian moonwalking expert by this point. When you leave the room, your heart is beating faster than it needs to. It's strange how being in a calm, quiet room can feel more stressful than cleaning ovens. The divide hits you as you walk back downstairs. The difference hits hard. Upstairs is all soft carpets, warm sunlight, and gentle whispers. Downstairs, it's heat, sweat, noise, and 1,000 tasks waiting for you. 1 minute you're touching silk. The next you're carrying coal buckets. It's like living two lives in one body. When you reach the bottom of the stairs, one of the kitchen maids, Grace, spots you. Ah, you survived upstairs, she says with a little smile. Good. Some don't. You laugh quietly. Is it always that silent up there? She nods. Always. They don't hear the chaos down here. They don't see it either. Her words stick in your head. 2 worlds, 1 house, and almost zero overlap. A quick break, sort of. Grace hands you a cup of water. It's not actually a break, more like a drink this before you faint moment. You lean against the wall for a second, catching your breath. The sound of pots banging in the kitchen echoes through the hall. I don't get how they live up there. You say quietly, they don't get how we live down here. Grace replies. She shrugs with a tiny smile, the kind that says she's used to this life, even if it's hard. Upstairs staff never have soot on their faces. Downstairs staff never have soft hands. Simple as that. Before you can reply, the hall erupts in noise again. The young scullery maid rushes by with a huge iron pot. The cook shouts for more vegetables. A footman hurries past with a tray of crystal glasses. Break over. A little friendship begins. Later that afternoon, you're helping polish the brass candlesticks when you notice Thomas, the same footman who warned you yesterday, polishing a tray near you. He glances at you with a half smile. So, how do you like the upstairs world? He asks. It's pretty, you admit, but it feels like walking on eggshells. or crystal. Expensive crystal. He laughs under his breath. You get used to it, or you don't. Depends on the person. You tilt your head, curious. What about you? Do you like it up there? Thomas shrugs. It's all right. The family is decent, not perfect. But I've seen worse. There's a quiet honesty in his voice, something that makes you trust him more. Then he adds, just remember, upstairs, you must be quiet. Downstairs, you must be quick. 2 worlds, 2 rules. You nod. Feels like being 2 people at once. Exactly, he says. A tiny friendship spark forms there, small but real. The luxury you don't touch. By evening, you're sent to help deliver warm water to one of the bedrooms. And this room makes you stop in your tracks. Thick velvet drapes, a vanity table with silver brushes, a fireplace bigger than your whole attic room, a bed so soft it looks like it could swallow you in one bite. You whisper under your breath, people actually sleep here. You set the water down carefully and step back. For a moment, you wonder what your life would be like if you'd woken up as someone from the upstairs world instead of a servant. But before your mind can wander too far, the bell rings again. Your time to daydream is officially over. A little lesson from Mr. Barton. At night, after the family finishes dinner, the butler, Mr. Barton, calls you aside. He always looks calm, sharp, and serious, like his suit is glued to him. You handled yourself well today. He says, "Thank you." You murmur. He nods slowly. You must understand something important. In this house, there are 2 lives, the family's life and ours. He points toward the grand staircase. They live up there in comfort. Then he points toward the servant corridor. Will they live here with work? There's no bitterness in his voice, just truth. But both worlds must run together. He continues. If we fail, the whole house fails. You nod, absorbing every word. Mr. Barton gives you a rare, tiny smile before walking away. It's weird, but you feel proud. Like you're actually becoming part of something, even if it's hard. Night falls on both worlds. By the time your day ends, the upstairs halls are silent and glowing softly with candlelight. The wealthy family relaxes in their comfortable world, not thinking about anything you've done today. Downstairs, the fires dim. The servants sit for a moment to breathe. And the exhaustion settles into your bones like a second skin. You climb the narrow stairs to your tiny attic room. And as you sit on your straw mattress, you think about everything you saw today. 2 worlds, 1 house, 1 version sparkling with luxury, 1 held together with sweat and hard work. And somehow you're balancing in the middle of both. Okay, so imagine you step into a Victorian laundry room and boom, the heat smacks you like you just walked into a giant steam cloud. Not the cute spa kind. No, this is your face is suddenly a tomato, kind of hot. Back in the 1800s, laundry wasn't just a chore. It was basically a full body workout mixed with detective work, mixed with a little bit of magic. And honestly, the laundry ladies were low-key legends. First secret. Soap wasn't even real soap like we have today. It was this chunky block made from animal fat and ash. Kind of wild, kind of gross. But hey, it worked. Mostly. Sometimes it ruined clothes, but people still used it like it was the best invention ever. Second secret. Laundry day was gossip day. This was the Victorian Twitter. Everyone came here to talk, complain, share news, whisper, drama. You had to wash your clothes. Yeah, but you also came to hear things like, did you see Mrs. Brown's new hat? Or, I swear the baker's son winked at me. Laundry was half cleaning, half social media. Now here's where it gets interesting. Victorians didn't wash clothes every day. Not even every week. Honestly, some outfits were washed like once in a blue moon, and people pretended it was normal. Instead, they had tricks. Trick by ones air your clothes outside and pretend that counts as washing. Trick 2 sign sprinkle lavender or herbs to hide smell. Trick type 3 wear layers. Lots of layers so the sweat never reaches the fancy outer dress. Bro, imagine wearing 3 layers to protect one dress. Peak dedication. Inside the laundry room, the real chaos starts. Clothes get boiled in giant metal pots like soup. I'm not kidding. Straight up boiling water with shirts floating in it like dumplings. The water smells, let's just say, historically unpleasant. Then comes the scrubbing. There's this heavy washboard, and you just rub the clothes like you're trying to erase your problems. The sound. Scrape. 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 It echoes in the whole room, and if you think ironing was chill, nope. The iron wasn't electric. It was a metal block heated on a fire. If you dropped it, that's it. Dress destroyed. Floor burned. Maybe your foot too. But the laundry women knew what they were doing. They had secrets passed down like treasure. How to remove stains with lemon water. How to fix faded color with tea. How to dry clothes fast without leaving weird folds. How to bleach white fabric using sunlight. Literally sunlight was their bleach. Wild how nature was basically their cleaning product aisle. Another secret. Laundry was the place where hidden things showed up. Letters tucked in pockets. Notes forgotten in aprons. Loose coins. Sometimes even tiny keepsakes. And yeah, people definitely read the letters. If they were spicy enough, the laundry room had its own vibes, damn steamy air, buckets everywhere, a floor that's always wet. Women laughing, shouting, venting, kids running around handing buckets like tiny assistants, clothes hanging from ropes like flags. But here's the cool part. Doing laundry wasn't just work. It was a whole rhythm, a routine, a moment when people came together. A place where secrets floated around like steam, and everyone knew everything, even if nobody admitted it. By late afternoon, the room would quiet down. Clothes would hang outside, dancing in the wind. The steam slowly faded. The floor dried a little, and the women would sit down, tired but kind of proud. Their hands hurt. Their backs hurt. Their feet hurt. But when they looked at the clean clothes, the bright whites, the fresh smell of soap mixed with afternoon breeze, it felt like a win. Laundry was tough, but it was also skill, patience, craft, and a tiny bit of chaos. As the sun set, the laundry room fell silent again, just empty buckets, faint soap smell, and a faint warmth left behind. Tomorrow, it would all start again. New clothes, new stains, new secrets. So you're wiping down a hallway table, minding your own business, trying not to sneeze from all the dust when suddenly you hear tiny footsteps, fast ones, the kind of footsteps that scream. Oh, before you even turn around, something small bumps into your leg. That's when you meet him, the child of the house. He's around 7 or 8, hair all messy, like he fought a pillow, and lost, eyes wide, shoes shiny enough to blind someone. He looks at you like you're the coolest thing he's ever seen, even though you're literally holding a feather duster. Are you new? He asks, voice way too loud for this fancy hallway, and boom, you're stuck. Victorian kids from wealthy homes were kind of like little princes and princesses. They didn't do chores. They didn't make their beds. They didn't tie their shoelaces. Someone else did all that for them. And that someone was usually, well, one of the servants, which now includes you. The child stares at you like you're magic. You try to smile without looking weird. My tutor says, I need to practice reading. Want to hear me? He doesn't even wait for your answer. He just starts reading loudly, dramatically, and not always correctly. You nod along like, yeah, bro, you nailed that word. Even though he absolutely did not. But here's the thing, this kid is lonely. Rich Victorian children didn't grow up like normal kids. They couldn't run around the streets playing ball. They couldn't roll in the mud or climb trees or throw sticks at random stuff. Everything was strict. Everything was behave properly. They had rules stacked on rules, stacked on more rules. And honestly, you're the first friendly face he's seen all day. He grabs your sleeve, come see my toys. Before you can say, oh, you're dragged into the nursery, a bright room with wooden toys, books, a rocking horse, and a window that looks out over the garden. The place feels warm and kind of cozy, like a small pocket of childhood in a house full of serious adults. The child starts showing you everything. This is my spinning top. This is my wooden soldier. This doll has one button eye because I lost the other one. This is my puzzle I never finished. He talks fast, excited, like he's been waiting all week to share this stuff. Then he lowers his voice and leans close. I'm not supposed to play too long. Miss Harper says toys are a distraction. Ah, yes, Miss Harper, the strict nanny, the ruler of the nursery, the woman whose footsteps make every servant instantly sit up straighter. Somewhere in the hall, you hear her voice, and it feels like thunder. Don't you have chores to finish? She snaps when she sees you. You nod and step back, but the child grabs your hand for a second. Come back later. He whispers like you two are part of a secret club now. When you return to your chores, you can't help thinking about him. This huge house is busy, cooks yelling in the kitchen, footmen polishing silver, maids carrying laundry, but for the child upstairs. It's kind of an empty world. Later in the day, you see him again. This time, he's sitting on the staircase holding a book upside down.
Yes.
Upside down. Are you reading? You ask gently. He sighs. It's geography, and geography is boring. Honestly, you agree? You sit next to him for a second, even though you're supposed to be dusting. He tells you more stuff. How his father is always working, how his mother goes to social events, how he spends most of the day with tutors and rules and more tutors. Not gonna lie, it hits you a little. You're living in the Victorian era now, working nonstop, but the child, he's living in a golden cage. Then he lifts his head. Want to know a secret? You're thinking, bro, I've only been here 24 hours and I already have a folder of Victorian secrets. He grins. Sometimes I sneak cookies from the kitchen and hide them under my bed. That's when you hear tiny guilty crumbs dropping from his pocket. And also when you hear the cook shouting from the distance, who took the ginger biscuits? Busted. The child shoves the last cookie into your hand like he's passing off evidence. Hide it. He whispers. You're standing there, cookie in hand, looking like the world's most confused criminal. But you stuff it in your apron before the cook walks by. Later that afternoon, you help fold sheets in the laundry room, and the other maids laugh when you tell them about him. Oh, he's a handful, one says. But he's sweet. He just wants attention, another adds. Most of them do. Turns out every servant knows the child pretty well. He likes stories. He likes jokes. He likes sneaking into the garden, even though it's not allowed. And he loves when someone listens to him. That night, as you light candles in the hallway, he appears again, slippers soft on the floor, holding a blanket. Can you tell me a story? He asks quietly. You probably shouldn't. It's late. You have chores. Nanny Harper would appear out of thin air like a boss battle if she saw you, but the kid looks tired, not physically, emotionally, like he carried a whole day of rules on his little shoulders. So you sit on the bottom step of the staircase and he curls up next to you, hugging his blanket. You keep your voice calm and low. Something simple, something gentle, something you remember from your real world. He listens with wide eyes, like you're telling the greatest story ever. By the time you finish, he's half asleep. You help him up, walk him to the nursery door, and he whispers, "Thank you." Just that. And you feel something warm in your chest. Not bad warm, the good kind. I actually made someone's day better. Kind. As he disappears into his room, you go back to your servant duties. But now the house feels a little softer, a little lighter. Because in this huge Victorian mansion full of noise and rules and chores, you're not just a servant. You're someone's safe person, someone's comfort, someone's friend. Morning starts peaceful, too peaceful. The kind of peaceful that usually means trouble is waiting around the corner, but you don't know it yet. You're feeling a tiny bit confident today, like, yeah, maybe I'm getting the hang of this Victorian servant life. Bad sign. Very bad sign. You head into the main hallway with a tray of polished silver dishes. They're shining so bright, you can basically see your own tired face in them. The house feels quiet. Sunlight slips through the tall windows. Everything looks calm, but Victorian houses are sneaky. You didn't notice the one thing on the floor, a tiny ball from the child's toy set, just chilling there, waiting. You step on it, and for half a second, you experience what it feels like to defy gravity. The tray tilts. You wobble. A footman gasps. Someone drops a spoon in the distance, and 3 sparkling silver dishes fly off the tray like they're doing some kind of slow motion acrobatics. C-L-I-N-K, C-L-I-N-K. Kareske. One dish lands safely. One rolls away like it's making a dramatic escape. And one, the important one, gets a long scratch across the engraved pattern. You freeze. The footman stares. A maid peeks around the corner. Even the butler, who was walking down the stairs, stops mid-step like a paused video. You swear the whole house holds its breath. Who did that? The voice is calm. Too calm. The dangerous kind of calm. The mistress of the house steps into view. Her dress glides across the carpet like she's floating. Not one hair is out of place. She looks at the scratched silver dish, then at you, then at the dish again. It was an accident, you whisper. She lifts one eyebrow. Accidents happen when people are careless. Ouch. Straight to the heart. You want to explain. You want to point at the tiny ball still sitting on the floor like a guilty goblin. But you're a servant. And servants don't talk back. So you bow your head. I'm sorry. The butler steps in smoothly. I'll handle this, madam. She nods once and walks away, her footsteps echoing like judgment. As soon as she's gone, you feel your stomach twist. This isn't like modern life where you break a plate and someone says, eat, whatever. In the Victorian era, mistakes meant stress, lectures, extra work, or even dismissal for serious things. The butler takes a slow breath. These items are valuable. You must be careful. Understand? You nod quickly. Yes, sir. He softens just a tiny bit. Everyone makes a mistake at least once. But learn from it. Then he walks away, leaving you alone with the scratched dish and your embarrassment melting into the floor. You kneel down and pick up the runaway silver dish that rolled away like it had legs. The scratch looks deep. No amount of polishing is going to hide that. A maid named Ellen walks up behind you and whispers, well, that could have been worse. You look at her like, girl. Habu? She shrugs. She could have yelled. Okay, fair point. You carry the damaged dish to the kitchen. The cook takes one look at your face and sighs. What did you break? Nothing broke. You say, just scratched. Oh, she says, nodding. Sometimes scratches are worse. Everyone seems weirdly calm about this, like accidents happen all the time, but nobody wants to talk loudly about them. Victorian houses have this funny mix of strict rules and quiet understanding. Still, you feel awful. You spend the next hour polishing every single piece of silver in the kitchen, hoping the scratch magically disappears if you just keep rubbing it. Spoiler, it does not. While you're scrubbing, the child of the house sneaks in eyes wide. Wide. Did you get in trouble because of the ball? He whispers. Your brain pauses. BLL, THBLL, THEEVDNCE. You look at him slowly. You left it in the hallway? He nods, small and guilty. I forgot. He shuffles his feet, staring at the floor. You don't want him to feel bad. He's just a kid, but wow, he indirectly started a silver disaster. Then he does something surprising. He picks up a cloth and mimics your polishing motions, like he's trying to help. I'm sorry, he murmurs. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. You smile a little despite everything. It's okay. Just try not to leave toys everywhere. This house already feels like a maze. He nods seriously. I'll hide them better. Not really what you meant, but okay. A little later, Ellen shows up again with a plan. Come with me, she whispers. She leads you to the tiny workshop behind the kitchen. Inside sits an older servant named Mr. Turner, the unofficial repair guy. He's fixing a broken drawer, humming like he's been doing this for 60 years. Ellen holds out the scratched dish. Think you can save this. Mr. Turner takes it, inspects the scratch, and nods slowly. Won't be perfect, he says, but I can make it less obvious. Your heart basically jumps in joy. Please? You say, maybe too dramatically. He chuckles and starts working, rubbing, smoothing, polishing, adding a little shine. After about 20 minutes, he hands it back. The scratch is still there, but now it looks like part of the pattern, like a tiny swirl, like it's supposed to be there. You stare at it in amazement. You're a wizard? I prefer craftsmen, he says, wiping his hands. Ellen elbows you gently. See? Crisis averted. You let out a breath you didn't know you were holding. The weight on your chest lifts a little. Your legs stop feeling like jelly. Later in the afternoon, you bring the dish back to the butler. He inspects it carefully, then nods. This will do. Translation, you survived. You walk away with the most dramatic silent sigh of relief ever recorded in Victorian history. At dinner time, while you're serving the family upstairs, the mistress glances at you once, not angry, not annoyed, just neutral, which in Victorian servant language basically means you're forgiven. Continue your existence. When you finally sit for supper with the other servants, Ellen pats your shoulder. Congrats, she says. You've officially passed the first big mistake test. Everyone laughs, and you laugh too, tired, relieved, and weirdly proud. Because in this house, mistakes happen, but friendships happen too. And today, both saved you. Evening in a Victorian house hits different. The whole place changes its mood, like the air gets thicker, the shadows stretch longer, and the noise slowly fades into this soft hum. After the chaos of the morning and afternoon, the house starts to exhale. And guess what? That's exactly when your work keeps going. The day is basically ending for the family upstairs, but for servants. Yeah, this is your second shift. You start with the hallway lamps. Victorian houses don't have fancy switches you just click on. Instead, you walk around with a tiny flame lighting each lamp one by one. It's weirdly peaceful, kind of magical. The little flames flicker like fireflies trapped in glass. As you walk down the corridor, the light spills across paintings, old portraits, and tall wooden doors. Everything looks like it belongs in a storybook. You almost forget you're tired. Almost a footman crosses paths with you, carrying candlesticks on a tray. Evening rounds? He asks. You nod. Yeah, you. Say misery? He laughs quietly. You both go separate ways, but it feels nice knowing you're not alone in the nighttime shuffle. Next up, the bedrooms. You push open a door slowly, like you're entering a museum. The room is huge, with heavy curtains, a tall bed, and a fireplace glowing faintly. You'd prepare everything so the family can sleep in perfect comfort. You start by poking the fire. Sparks fly a little. The warmth hits your face. Then you place fresh coal on top, listening to the soft crackles. There's something comforting about fireplaces. They make you feel safe, even though the house is so big and silent. After the fire, you smooth the blankets on the bed. Victorian people take neat bed to a whole new level. No wrinkles, no bumps. Not even one rebellious corner sticking out. You pull, tuck, adjust, and fluff until it looks like a cloud. You whisper to yourself, if this bed was mine, I'd be asleep in 2 seconds. But nope, not tonight. You've still got rooms to finish. When you enter the next bedroom, the master's dog, a fluffy creature with the attitude of royalty, is sitting right in the middle of the bed. You stare at him. He stares back. It's a silent battle. Can you move? The dog lifts his chin like, peasant, please. You sigh and gently pat the sheets. He refuses. So you bribe him with a tiny biscuit from your apron. The dog hops off the bed instantly. Suddenly, your best friend. Well, you mutter, that was easier than expected. You finish fixing the bed and give the dog one more tiny pat. He trots away proudly, like he just completed a mission. Downstairs in the kitchen, dinner cleanup is happening. Pots clanging, water splashing, cooks shouting instructions. But upstairs, it's almost silent. You move from room to room like a ghost. In the sitting room, you gather the newspapers into a neat stack. In the music room, you close the piano lid gently. In the library, you pick up a book someone left open on a chair. You look at the title, something long and fancy. Definitely not for bedtime. You place it back on the shelf carefully. When you turn around, the butler is suddenly there. Victorian butlers have this superpower. They walk without making a sound. It's honestly creepy. He nods at you. The family will retire soon. Make sure everything upstairs is ready. Yes, sir. You keep moving. After about an hour, you finally head into the grand dining room. Candles glow on the long table. The plates sparkle. Everything looks elegant, like a scene from a painting. You only need to check the windows. Victorian windows are huge and heavy. You pull them shut one by one. A cool breeze sneaks in. You shiver. That's when you hear footsteps. soft ones. You turn and see the child of the house holding a blanket again, eyes sleepy. You're still working. He asks in a tiny voice. Yep. You smile. Almost done. He yawns. I don't like nighttime. It makes the house too quiet. You nod. Yeah, it kind of does. He steps closer. Will you be here tomorrow? Of course, you whisper. Now go sleep before Miss Harper catches you. He giggles and runs off, blanket dragging behind him. You finish closing the windows and slowly walk down the staircase. The house feels dreamlike now, warm lights glowing, shadows soft, every sound gentle. Back in the servants' hall, everyone looks exhausted. A maid rubs her shoulders. A footman sits with his eyes half closed. The cook is wiping down her counter for the 200th time, but even with the tiredness, there's a kind of peace. A shared calm, a feeling like we made it through another day. You grab a small cup of warm tea. It tastes like heaven after such a long day. Mr. Turner, the repair master from earlier, walks past. Evening duty's done? He asks. You nod. Finally, he chuckles. You get used to it? You're not sure you'll ever fully get used to it. But tonight, you don't feel overwhelmed. Later, before heading to the attic, you go outside for a moment, just to breathe. The air is cool and fresh. Fog curls along the ground. The sky is dark but peaceful. You can hear the horses shifting in the stable, the distant church bells, and the whisper of leaves. Somewhere, a servant closes the last door. Somewhere, the family settles into their soft beds. And you? You stand there for a moment, letting the quiet wrap around you like a blanket. Evening in the Victorian era is tough, but it has a strange beauty too. You walk back inside slowly, feet heavy, close the eyes tired, but your heart somehow calm. When you finally reach your little attic room, you sit on the edge of your straw mattress. The candle flickers in the corner, throwing soft gold light on the walls. And you breathe. You made it through the day. You handled mistakes. You helped people. You kept the house running. In this world, that's something to be proud of. You lie down, the mattress creaking beneath you, and let your mind drift. The warmth of the day settles, and the sounds of the quiet house lull you into rest. Another night in the Victorian era. Another day survived. Another story lived. By the time the evening duties finally end, your legs feel like they're made of noodles. Not even strong noodles, the soft, tired, please don't make me stand any more noodles. You walk into the servants' hall, and the warm smell of stew hits you like a comforting hug. This is it, the best part of the day. The moment every servant waits for dinner, not fancy dinner, not shiny silver spoon dinner, just human dinner. The servants' hall is small compared to the upstairs dining room. The ceiling is lower, the air warmer, the lights dimmer. But honestly, it feels more real, more alive, more like home than anything upstairs. A long wooden table runs down the center. There are mismatched plates stacked at the end, cups with tiny chips, spoons that have lived 3 lifetimes, and a big pot of stew bubbling on the stove. The cook wipes her hands on her apron and looks at you. Well, look who survived another day. You laugh under your breath. Barely. Barely is still surviving? She replies, ladling stew into bowls. You grab a seat between Ellen and one of the footmen. The bench creaks under everyone's weight. People slump into their spots like melting candles, shoulders dropping, backs relaxing for the first time in hours. Someone passes you bread. Someone else fills your cup with warm water. The room slowly fills with soft chatter, the kind that feels like exhaling after holding your breath all day. Ellen nudges you gently. First real dinner as part of the downstairs family, she says. How does it feel? You look around the room. The scullery maid yawning so hard she almost falls forward. The older housemaid rubbing her hands, worn from scrubbing floors. The footman leaning back, tired but joking quietly. Mr. Turner sipping his tea like a wise owl. The kitchen helper sneaking extra bread when the cook isn't looking. All of them tired, all of them human, all of them surviving the same long day. It feels kind of nice, you say. Like we're all in this together? Ellen smiles. Exactly. The stew is simple: potatoes, carrots, onions, maybe a tiny piece of meat if the day was lucky. But right now it tastes like a feast. Maybe it's the hunger, or maybe it's the feeling of sitting down after so much work. Your shoulders drop with every warm spoonful. Across the table, one of the younger maids is describing how she slipped on a rug earlier and landed in a basket of laundry. Everyone laughs, and she hides her face, giggling. Then the footman beside you speaks up. You think that's bad? I dropped a whole tray of glasses last month. Everyone gasps. And I didn't get fired, he adds proudly. Just got the look. You know the one. Every servant nods instantly. Yes. The look. The one that says, I'm not yelling, but I'm very disappointed, and your soul knows it. Even you laugh because, yeah, you've already experienced that look. After a few minutes, the room settles into a soft, peaceful rhythm. Spoons clink. People sigh. Someone hums quietly. The cook sits down too, rare, and you can see exhaustion written all over her face. You're doing well, she says to you suddenly. You blink. Me. Don't sound so shocked, she chuckles. Most newcomers panic on their second day. You're still standing. That says something. You smile, a little embarrassed. I had help, you say. From everyone. That's how it works down here. Mr. Turner adds from his spot. We pull each other through. This life is heavy. But we make it lighter together. His words settle into the room like a warm blanket. Then something surprising happens. The older housemaid starts talking. She's usually quiet, focused on her chores, barely saying a word. But tonight her voice is soft, thoughtful. I used to be terrified of this place, she says. The rules, the pressure, the long days, it felt like too much. Everyone listens. But after a while, I realized, this hall is what kept me going. Not the job, not the house, not the pay. Just sitting here with all of you, sharing food, sharing stories, being seen, She pauses, eyes reflecting the candlelight. People upstairs have fancy rooms, but sometimes I think we have something better. Nobody jokes. Nobody interrupts. It's quiet, a warm, respectful quiet. Her words touch something inside you too, because you've been scared, lost, confused, thrown into a world with strict rules and nonstop work. But here at this table, you feel safe for the first time. You look around again, really looking this time. Their tired faces, their worn hands, their soft smiles, their spark of life despite everything. You feel something melt in your chest, something gentle. After dinner, everyone starts cleaning up. Servants don't really rest. Even after eating, the bowls get washed, the table wiped, the pot scrubbed, but it's slower now, softer, like nobody is in a rush anymore. The child of the house sneaks in for half a second, barefoot, holding a candle. He waves at you, grins, then disappears before Nanny Harper can catch him. Trouble, Ellen mutters. Cute trouble, but trouble. You laugh. Finally, when the dishes are clean and the candles start burning low, the group begins drifting toward their rooms. The older servants move slowly. The younger ones giggle about small things. Someone hums a tune while sweeping crumbs. As you head toward the stairs leading to the attic, Ellen touches your arm gently. You're settling in, she says. I can tell. You shrug. Still pretty confused. That never fully goes away, she says with a grin. But you're doing fine. Before you leave the hall, you pause for a moment, taking in the scene, the low light, the worn tables, the people who have become your little world. It's not glamorous. It's not easy, but it's human, warm, real. And somehow, after everything today, you're grateful for it. You head up the stairs, feeling tired, but soft inside. The house creaks, the hall's dim, the warmth of dinner still sitting in your chest. Servant life is hard, painfully hard sometimes, but tonight you felt something important. You belong somewhere, even if it's small, even if it's simple. You belong. The sky had been looking kind of suspicious all morning, but now it's official. The Victorian weather system has decided to go full drama mode. The clouds are dark, the wind is howling, and the whole house feels like it's holding its breath. You're down in the servant hall polishing brass again when the first TUNDR hits. The walls shake. The floor shakes. Your soul shakes. Even the other servants jump a little, but they try to play it cool because, Victorian pride. Before you can even blink, Mrs. Porter bursts in like a human alarm bell. Everyone, move! The storm is coming in fast. Windows must be checked. And boom, the panic begins. You're running around with the rest of the staff, making sure every shutter is locked tight. Victorian storms weren't cute. Roofs leaked. Windows rattled like they were trying to leave the house. And the wind straight up screamed through the chimneys. By the time you reach the east wing window, the rain is slamming against the glass so hard it looks like the house is being attacked by angry water. You latch it shut right as another thunderclap rolls. Then the real crisis hits. The water problem. One of the junior maids rushes in, panicking. The roof above the nursery is leaking. Ah, yes, perfect. Great news. You run up the stairs with her, and the moment you enter the hallway, you can already hear it drip, drip, drip. And when you reach the nursery, yep, there's a straight up mini waterfall coming through the ceiling, water splashing onto the floorboards. A wooden bucket placed under it is already filling up like it's auditioning to be a fountain. Mrs. Porter appears like a Victorian ninja. Fetch more buckets and cloth. Lots of cloth. Everyone scatters again. You grab 2 buckets and a stack of towels and return to help the others. The whole thing feels like some chaotic team sport where nobody told you the rules. Thunder booms again, and the lights flicker because the house uses half gas, half magic. Looking Victorian tech that definitely wasn't designed for storms. You climb onto a small stool, trying to push a cloth against the leak. Spoiler, the ceiling is winning. Water keeps dripping past your fingers, and you're like, bro, can you chill? But nope. Victorian houses don't chill. They leak. The kid makes it worse. Just when things are already messy, the child of the house, little Henry, pops his head out from behind a rocking horse with the biggest grin. Is there a flood? This boy looks way too excited. You shake your head. No, just a little leak. He immediately grabs a toy boat and sets it near the puddle like this is some sort of indoor lake adventure. Mrs. Porter. HNRY. Oh. Ooh. He vanishes instantly. Smart kid. Then comes the scary part. Suddenly, one of the maids yells from the halls. The wind blew the stable door wide open. Oh, good. Because what's a storm without bonus problems? The horses are freaking out. The stable boys are shouting. And you can hear hooves banging against wooden stalls. Mrs. Porter looks at you and the older footman. You too go help them secure the doors. You do now, T, want to go out into that storm. Not even a little. But hey, servant life, you pull your cloak around you and dash outside. Instant regret. The rain hits your face like wet needles. The wind pushes you sideways, and your boots start filling with cold water faster than you can say, nah, bro. You help push the heavy stable door shut while the wind tries to open it again. The footman props a thick wooden beam across it, and finally, the door holds. Inside, the horses are stomping like they're auditioning for a thunder orchestra. You help calm one while the stable boy adjusts the ropes. It works eventually. No one gets kicked. Small victory. Back inside, another problem appears. You run back to the main house, soaked like a human sponge. The servants are still dealing with the leak upstairs. But now there's a new issue. The kitchen chimney is smoking. Like a low OT, smoke is curling into the room instead of going up, and the cook is waving her ladle like she's fighting ghosts. The wind's forcing the smoke down. She coughs. The room smells like someone burned toast, coal, and disappointment all at once. You run to open the side vent, letting the smoke escape. The moment fresh air rushes in, the cook claps. Good! Now stir the stew. Don't let it burn. And now you're stirring a huge pot of Victorian stew in a smoky kitchen during a storm crisis. Honestly, at this point, you deserve a medal or at least a nap. The storm breaks. Eventually, hours pass. Buckets fill. Clothes soak. Windows shake. Thunder yells. Everyone is exhausted. But then, slowly, the storm begins to fade. The thunder softens. The wind calms. The rain drops from angry waterfall to gentle little taps. You can finally breathe again. The servants gather in the hall, looking wrecked. Hair messy, clothes wet, eyes tired. Everyone looks like they survived a round of Victorian Survivor. Mrs. Porter walks in, inspecting the damage like a general after battle. Then she gives a small nod. Well done, everyone. And honestly, that one compliment hits like a trophy ceremony. You slump onto a wooden bench, feeling like the storm aged you 5 years. But there's also this weird little spark in your chest, like you actually helped hold the whole house together. You learned something today. Victorian houses were high maintenance. Victorian storms were terrifying. And Victorian servants, absolute warriors. The storm is gone by morning, but the house feels heavy and tired, kind of like it's still recovering, just like you. Everything is damp, quiet, and weirdly peaceful. Even the walls seem to be resting after the chaos. You wake up in your little attic room, blinking at the soft morning light pushing through the small window. The air smells like rain, wood, and the leftover smoke from the kitchen chimney disaster. Honestly, the whole vibe is post-storm hangover. You stretch, your muscles complaining from yesterday's madness. You feel like an old wooden chair, functional but creaky. Downstairs, the servants gather one by one. Some look half asleep, some look totally done with life, and some are pretending to smile because, well, Victorian survival. Then you hear the magic words. Today is a half day off for some of you. Of course. For some of you, part hits like a bucket of cold water. A few senior servants, like the cook, one footman, and the housemaid, get permission to leave the estate for a few hours. They light up like kids on a holiday. They talk about going into town, buying sweets, maybe renting a cheap book or visiting family. Meanwhile, you and the rest, yeah, you're staying behind. Classic Victorian life. The leaving ritual, even though it's supposed to be a simple afternoon outing, the process looks like a full ceremony. Servants going out dress a bit nicer, hair neat, clothes brushed, boots polished. One girl even borrows a ribbon to feel a little above stairs for a few hours. When they step out the main servant door, the ones staying behind watch them like, whoa, freedom must be nice. The door closes, and suddenly the house feels double lonely. The calm after the storm. With fewer people around, the halls are super quiet. No rushing, no shouting, no endless footsteps. For the first time since you woke up in this century, the house almost feels gentle. You get assigned simple tasks, dusting a few shelves, checking on yesterday's leak, helping fold dry linens. Nothing crazy. Honestly, it feels like a break The calm lets your mind wander. You notice the little things, the way dust dances in sunlight, the smell of freshly dried cloth, the soft creaking of the old wooden stairs, the distant clop of a horse outside the window. It's almost peaceful, like a slow, sleepy documentary scene. A moment just for you around midday. Mrs. Porter gives everyone staying behind a short break. You head toward the small back entrance, open the door, and step outside into the fresh air. The world is washed clean from the storm, puddles shining, leaves sparkling, the sky bright and soft. You sit on the stone steps. For the first time since arriving in this weird Victorian life, you finally get to pause. Pause. You listen to birds. You watch a carriage roll past on the distant road. You sip a cup of warm tea. One of the kitchen maids sneak to you. It's simple, but it hits different. You start thinking, what if this is your life now? What if yesterday's storm was just the beginning? What if you never find a way back? The thoughts aren't scary, just deep, like those moments before sleep when you question everything. Small conversations inside only a handful of servants remain, so the atmosphere is softer. You help a junior maid fold sheets, and she opens up a little. She tells you how she sends almost all her wages home to help her family. She jokes that even her dreams are tired. The old gardener passes by and shares how storms always make him feel nervous because he once lost a greenhouse roof in a bad one. He laughs at himself, shaking his head like, those were the days. Another maid sits with you in the servants' hall for a few minutes. She talks about how she dreams of working in a bakery someday, a life where she smells bread instead of coal. Everyone's little stories feel like puzzle pieces, giving you a clue about the hidden hearts behind this strict world. The return. By late afternoon, the servants who got the day off finally return. The moment they walk in, the mood shifts. They come in smiling, wind in their hair, carrying tiny paper bags with sweets or leftover treats. They look refreshed in a way you haven't seen before. One girl shares peppermint candies with the room. Another brings back a cheap newspaper and spreads it on the table for everyone to peek at. The footman returns with a slightly smug smile after visiting his family. Their happiness is contagious. The whole servant hall brightens a bit. Even Mrs. Porter looks not soft, but slightly less terrifying. Evening quiet. As night approaches, the house goes back to its normal rhythm. Hushed footsteps, soft lamp glow, kitchen pot bubbling gently, fire crackling in the range. Everyone seems calmer today, even after the chaos of the storm. Something about having a tiny bit of rest, even just half a day, feels like a treasure. You finish your last task of the day, stacking folded linens in a hallway cupboard. The smell of lavender soap and warm cloth fills the air. You close the cupboard slowly, feeling a little proud of the neat stacks. When you head up to your attic room, the world outside is quiet again. No thunder, no wind, just soft moonlight through your window. You sit on your straw mattress and take a deep breath. You're still stuck in a different century. You're still a servant. You're still confused. But today didn't feel so bad. Today felt almost human, almost peaceful, almost like you're starting to understand the strange world. The house is finally quiet. Not a little quiet, but that deep, gentle kind of quiet that feels like someone placed a warm blanket over the whole world. Evening duties are done. Footsteps have faded. And every candle downstairs has been trimmed or snuffed. You climb the narrow stairs to your attic room, feeling each step in your legs. The day wasn't chaotic like the storm, but still long enough to make your bones feel older than they actually are. You push open your tiny door and step inside. Your room is small and plain, but tonight it feels safe. The walls are pale and cracked. The straw mattress sits low and uneven, and the wooden overhead looks ready to creak at any moment. But there's one thing bringing the whole space to life, a single candle glowing on your little bedside table. That soft golden light fills the room like a quiet friend waiting for you. You sit down slowly, letting out a breath you didn't even realize you were holding. The candle makes everything feel real. You pull your blanket around your shoulders and just sit. No rush, no orders, no tasks. The candle flickers gently, casting warm shapes on the wall. The shadows stretch, bend, and sway like they're telling a story of their own. It hits you all at once. You're really here in the Victorian era, living the life of a servant with no phone, no modern noise, nothing buzzing or glowing except this tiny candle. And somehow that feels peaceful. Your thoughts start talking back. The quiet does something strange. It makes you think deeper than usual. Your mind wanders all over the place. You think about the storm yesterday, how scary it was, how the house shook and everyone ran around like a team fighting an invisible monster. Then you think about today, the tiny break you had, the fresh air after the storm, the moment you sat outside and felt for a few minutes and completely still. You think about the servants around you, the girl who dreams of a bakery, the boy who ran home just to see his family, the older gardener who laughs at his own old stories, the cook who acts tough but secretly protects everyone, Mrs. Porter, who's strict but somehow fair. Every single one of them feels more real to you now, more human. Like they aren't just Victorian characters in some old history book. They're actual people with fears, hopes, routines, and small joys. You realize you're slowly becoming part of their world, not as a visitor, not as some modern outsider, but someone who works beside them. Memories of your world hit you softly. You lean back against the wall and close your eyes for a moment. Then modern memories float in. Bright screens, street lights, phones buzzing in your pocket, supermarkets, cars, music playing in your ears whenever you want. It all feels oddly distant, like something from a dream you half remember. You didn't expect Victorian life to pull you in this much, but here you are, sitting with a candle and actually finding comfort in the quiet. You don't miss the chaos of modern life tonight. You miss the people? Maybe certain routines, maybe your bed, but not the noise, not right now. Tonight feels calm in a way you didn't know you needed. The what if moment. As the candle continues to burn lower, you start wondering, what if you really had to stay here forever? Could you survive? Could you blend in? Could you handle this life long term? You picture yourself walking with the other servants in the cold morning, laughing quietly during the evening stew, helping calm the horses during storms, working through daily chorus, supporting each other when things go wrong. It's strange. You're not sure if you want this life, but you don't hate it either. It's simple, tough, but simple and sometimes beautiful. The house breathes with you, even though the house is huge and old and dark. You don't feel alone in it. You can sense the presence of everyone sleeping below, the quiet breathing, the gentle movements, the shared exhaustion. You feel connected, like the house itself is a living thing, and all of you are tiny parts keeping it running. Outside, you hear soft rain beginning again. Nothing wild, just a gentle drizzle tapping the roof like a lullaby. You pull the blanket up to your chin and watch the candle dance. A soft ending to a long day. Your eyes grow heavy, but you don't blow the candle out yet. You enjoy the glow a little longer. The peaceful silence, the feeling of being suspended between two different centuries. Finally, when the flame is almost low enough to disappear, you lean forward and whisper to yourself, maybe I'll figure it out tomorrow. Then you gently blow out the candle. The room slips into darkness. The storm is gone. The day is over, and you drift slowly into sleep, calm, tired, thoughtful, ready for whatever the Victorian world throws at you next. You wake up before the sun, but something feels different today. The attic room is quiet, too quiet. No footsteps below, no clatter of buckets. No Mrs. Porter shouting about someone being late. Just stillness. A soft gray light filters through your tiny window, and for a moment, you simply lie there, staring up at the wooden beams above you. It feels like time itself has paused, waiting for you to breathe. You sit up slowly, wrapping your blanket around your shoulders. The air is cold, but the quiet is warm, gentle, almost like the house is giving you space to think. And you know exactly what you're thinking about. Is this the end of your journey here? The thought makes your heart thump a little harder. You walk through the sleeping house. You stand up, dress quietly, and step out into the hallway. The servants' corridor is empty, dawn light brushing the floorboards in long, soft streaks. You walk downstairs. No one stops you. No one asks for help. No one even seems to be awake. It's strangely peaceful, like you're walking through a memory. You pass the kitchen first. Empty. No cook banging pots. No fire yet. Just the faint smell of yesterday's bread. You pass the laundry room. Quiet now. No steam. No heavy irons. No gossip or laughter. You pass the grand staircase and glance up toward the family's rooms. No movement. No sounds. No bells ringing. It's like the whole house is gifting you one last moment alone. You reach the garden door. Something pulls you toward the back of the house, the same door you stepped out of on your half day. The one where you watched the sky and finally felt your mind slow down. You open it gently. The outside world is soft and pale. Fog hangs low over the garden. Grass sparkles with tiny raindrops. Birds are just starting to chirp. It smells fresh, peaceful, almost magical. You step onto the stone path, and a strange feeling sweeps over you. This place has changed you. You didn't just survive the Victorian life, you lived it. You worked, learned, struggled, laughed, helped, and connected with people who never knew the future you came from. A part of you feels tied to this world now, maybe more than you expected. Two quiet roads in your mind, standing there, breathing in the cool morning air. Two possibilities open in your heart like two pathways. Path one, you stay, you picture yourself living here longer, waking up early with the others, working side by side during long days, sharing simple dinners and small jokes, finding comfort in the calm, the routine, the teamwork, becoming someone the other servants rely on, a life that isn't easy, but isn't empty, a life full of quiet meaning. Path two, you return. Then another picture appears, your own world, your room, your people, your time, bright lights, noise, comfort, warmth, all the things you left behind, everything familiar, everything modern, everything you didn't know you'd miss. You imagine waking up in your real bed again, staring at your ceiling, wondering if all of this was even real or just some strange dream. You close your eyes. The fog curls around your ankles as you stand there. You take a slow, deep breath. You don't force a choice. You don't panic. You don't rush. You just let the moment sit with you. This world has taught you so much patience, teamwork, quiet strength, humility, and how powerful small kindnesses can be. You open your eyes, and then it happens. The soft shift, the light around you seems to move, not brightly, not suddenly, just a gentle slide like morning stretching its arms. The air warms, the fog thins, the garden fades. The stone step under your foot feels softer, smoother, familiar. You blink once, twice, and you're staring at the ceiling of your own room. Your pillow under your head, your blanket wrapped around you, your modern world humming quietly in the background. No Victorian attic, no servant bells, no candle, just home. You're breathless for a second, unsure if you actually returned or just woke from the most vivid dream of your life. Your mind is full of faces. The maids, the butler, the stable boys, the cook, Mrs. Porter, little Henry, they feel real. Too real. You touch your chest just to steady yourself. A calm ending, whether it was a dream, a time slip, or something beyond explanation, one thing is clear: you're different now. You carry a quiet strength, a new softness, a deeper understanding of the people who live those hard, quiet lives. You breathe out slowly. Maybe you left the Victorian era, but a small part of it stayed with you. And that's enough. You lie back, close your eyes for a moment, and whisper to yourself, thank you for the journey. The story ends soft, peaceful, complete, just like a bedtime story should.